Thank you, Abhijit, for making the time. So let's start with AZB. What is a firm and what exactly do you do in the wealth planning area?
If you talk about AZB in this space, to the concerned parties and to the concerned audience, we are known. To public at large, we are not known in this space. But I would say, and I'm not being, I hope I'm not being immodest, but we have a fair amount of experience and experience at a senior level. For example, I'm in business for now over 20 years, and I've been doing this for 15 years from now. I was doing that. Similarly, there are other professionals who are senior than me as well, who have done this, and therefore trust coupled with seniority is, I think, a potent combination in this practice area.
So when you say this space, what exactly is involved in wealth planning?
It's about first sensitizing the audience or the target in terms of telling him or her as to why wealth planning and estate planning, because that's as a concept people understand, but people have not maybe seriously thought about. It is explaining to them in terms of in their individual fact pattern. So, for example, are they a complex web of companies as a group? Are there a lot of generations in the business? Or is it an individual who has serious amount of wealth but have two daughters who are studying and probably want to get married and don't want to come into business? Second generation wanting to come into business, second generation not wanting to come into business. In terms of the psyche of a person, in terms of what complexity that person can withstand in terms of structuring, what is the age of the person in terms of handling the complexity, and what is the future plan of the patriarch of the family for himself or herself, and the next generation. So I think the genesis comes from these facts. Unfortunately, there is a fair amount of product pushing, tax structuring, which is actually essential in terms of wealth planning, but to my mind may not be central. I've always believed that tax is a consequence of income, and if therefore if one has to focus, the first has to be the income and then has to be the tax planning. So therefore, can you get into these structures for a fear of an estate duty tax? Frankly, if you ask me, the answer is no. If you, any case, have these fact pattern and you want to bring it together, should you do it in a manner that probably you can plan for estate duty? Answer is yes. And you know, as we say in law, that a draft must follow a thought. A thought cannot follow a draft.
Where do your clients usually come from? Do accountants bring you or private bankers bring them to you?
They are accountants, they are businessmen themselves, they are confidants of family members, they come and chat with us at times, it doesn't result into something, then they come and chat again, and it goes on for months or years, and then suddenly they one day come back.
What is the most common reason why Indian clients come to you? What's the usual trigger?
And I've always told my friends who come to me when things go wrong, is that right time to come to me was when you got into this issue, so that you could have got into the right way. But unfortunately, you know, our lawyers are not really, lawyers and doctors are necessary evils. Nobody wants to come to them, but in life sometime you have to go to them. So the majority of tendency seems to be that on this practice area is that once they have decided that they want to do something like this, then they come to lawyers for execution. And at the time of execution, depending upon the advisors they go, if they come to us, we are going to say very candidly what they should be hearing. And then they start thinking, oh, should I not, should I do this way, should I do that? Oh, probably he's making sense, or he's not making sense. Ideally, they should come to us first so that to understand the why and why nots. And then go back to the family and say, do we want to or we don't want to? And then comes the execution part of it. But typically what they land up is that they've gone through the wealth management community, they have already been sold the idea, and then they're coming for execution. but the market will mature. As you know, we've not seen a publication like yours in this part of the world. We are seeing it. Tomorrow there might be another. Tomorrow you might become much bigger than where you are, and that's function of the market, because the market exists.
So what's the difference between one law firm and another? Does experience in this particular area count at all?
Experience always helps. So, there are, especially in a jurisdiction like India. So we are not doing estate planning and wealth planning in the last 60 years. We are doing since last 10 years, 15 years, and that too in a very unorganized way. And therefore, experience is a rich database, and that you cannot discount.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I think the industry must understand that this is not a commoditized industry. This is not a cut and paste proposition, and therefore the ability and willingness to understand the psyche of the person that you are dealing with, the facts that you are dealing with, the nature of complexity in terms of family that you are dealing with, it's important. Understand it in the right perspective. Do some homework on that part as to how you can help this particular proposition, and go and conceptually talk through propositions. As opposed to, I would say, just take a 15-page presentation and beam it up and run the same presentation from one client to another. Frankly, you don't need that. So I think if that maturity comes, to my mind, you will have higher strike rate.
Thank you very much.